This book is by far the most interesting book I have ever come across so far. I basically got my job using these tricks in the book. If you've ever felt that you lack communication skills, or want to develop in leadership roles, or want to influence people with your positive mindset, this is the book. It is the wisdom from 1936 when it was written by Dale Carnegie and which is still relevant today. Daniel Carnegie spoke sense and he spoke the truth. Dealing with people is probably the biggest problem we will ever face. Digital methods means that we can easily make a mistake and it's communicated across the globe virally within seconds. By listening to the words that Carnegie imparted upon us, you will see that 1936 is still relevant even today. I've covered the gist of the book in 13 points, so let's get started with the first point. It's important to care about what you say and type. Social media is a blessing in many ways, but a curse in so many others. It brings you closer to more people than you could ever have imagined, but it takes you away from those sitting right next to you. It can also be a make or break in terms of businesses and relationships. Take Ryan Babel, the Dutch footballer, as a good example. Feeling rather annoyed after his team Liverpool lost to Manchester United, he took to his Twitter account to vent his frustrations, calling out the referee's ability. The result? He was fined around $16,000. This ease of letting steam digitally means that we criticize more than we err on the side of kindness. We can easily show our frustrations or opinions to others at the touch of a button. Second point is avoid bad mouthing and stay calm. Daniel Carnegie suggests that we shift the focus of our social media from aggressive and critical to positive and encouraging. Ask yourself why you need to post what you're thinking of posting. Are you doing it because you have a bone to pick with someone? Is this the best way to resolve it? President Lincoln would have done well in the digital age because he was an expert at human communications. He took the time to calm down before speaking, and he knew when to speak and when to remain silent. Every word he said was carefully weighed up. Lincoln knew about humans, and he knew how to get best out of people via the words he said. Remember, if all you do is criticize and blow off your steam on social media, you are quickly going to lose followers, both in the personal and business worlds. Nobody wants to be around someone who is constantly complaining. Third point is make an impression by showing you care. Kindness always wins out, and the single best way to both make friends and also influence others is to show how human kindness at the heart of what you do. Our author highlights an example of a shepherd tasked with guarding 100 sheep. One evening, he rounds up the sheep and finds 99 in place and one missing. Rather than praying and hoping the sheep will return safe and unharmed, he places the other sheep in their pen and goes out looking for that single sheep. In human terms, this shows those around you and those you're working with that you care about every single one of them. Nobody is left behind. Showing people that they are valuable to you enhances relationship beyond measure. We often find it hard to affirm the positive in others, usually finding it easier to highlight the negatives. But by doing this, you are showing people that you are noticing their good points. There is a very real difference between doing this and flattering without reason. However, because at the heart of it is a real concern for the other person, just as the shepherd showed with the missing sheep. Daniel Carnegie says, become meaningful in your interactions, and the path to success in any endeavor is simpler and far more susceptible. The digital age has made us obsessed with celebrity and material things, but taking the time to go back to the basics and keep things on a human level is vitally important. Fourth point is connect by turning the tables. Connecting with a person's true inner desire is the single best way to influence their behavior, especially in business. Apple really showed this when they launched a different type of computer to the norm back in 2002. This was viewed as a risk by many, but Steve Jobs realized that people wanted this creative, new style computer, so he gave them what they wanted and sales flooded in. In order to do this, you need to put yourself in another person's shoes. You have to think like they do and explore what they really want. In addition to giving them what they want, you need to make sure that it's beneficial for you too. Fifth point is impress with your genuine friendliness. The word genuine comes into this because friendliness and kindness cannot be fake. You can create a strong and powerful impression by taking a true interest in the likes and dislikes of other people. For instance, we know that dogs are man's best friend. A dog is interested in you 100%. They will wait by the door for you. They will never let you down or make you feel bad. In terms of taking an interest in what other people are and like, you need to act like a dog. Friendliness is also about listening. Do we even know how to really listen? Not many people do. In businesses, listening is vital. Our author shares an example who had a complaint to make to United Airlines. He was passed from a person to person whenever he called them, and in the end, he wrote a song which went viral on YouTube. United Airlines share plummeted as a result. Listening to those around you, especially your customers, is vital. Most of us don't listen. Most of us don't even talk to other people anymore. The American Sociological Review concluded that compared to 20 years ago, people are more isolated socially than ever before. Sixth point is find out what matters to them. In order to really connect with people, we need to know what matters to them and use that information wisely. We often talk about the things that we like, what we have done, how we feel, but we don't really talk about what the other person really likes, feels, or wants. Most people don't listen if it's not about them. If you want to make an impression, you need to tap into that information and use it to communicate more effectively. In terms of marketing, this is vital. Perhaps this is the reason why so many people don't have real friends anymore. You could argue that it's because we are all too concerned about ourselves, but it's also about the fact that to have true friendship and really connect with other people, you need to risk the vulnerability and really open up. Not everything is about you. Seventh point is establish trust by avoiding arguments and admitting when you're wrong. Nobody likes admitting when they are wrong. Most of us would prefer to argue it out and prove a point than say, hey, I'm wrong. In order to establish any kind of trust, being able to be big enough to admit you're wrong is vital, as is avoiding arguments in the first place. Arguments leads to dead ends and is literally waste of time. All you are trying to do is prove a point and make them see that you are right, usually ending in both of you concluding that the other one is wrong. It's far better to approach conflict with an open mind and see it as an opportunity for growing and learning. It's also a huge issue to tell someone they are wrong. Just don't do it. The great Mahatma Gandhi once said, friendship that insists upon agreement on all sides is not worth the name. We are never going to agree 100% of the time, but we have to compromise and see other person's side in order to move forward and grow. By seeing all sides, you are creating opportunities for collaboration, and who knows what creative ideas may come out of that. Eighth point is disarm people with positive approach. We have talked about being friendly, but when you combine that with positivity, the results are doubled. We mirror what we experience. So if someone is offhand with us, we are probably going to respond in the same offhand manner. However, if someone is friendly and positive to us, we are more likely to be the same back. This is a great tool for helping to build trust and influence those around you. If you want to win trust, friendships, and connections, you need to begin with the basics friendliness. The digital age has also made it far easier to create affinities with others. Someone who is in the same Facebook group as you, someone who likes the same things as you. These are easy to spot on social media, and that is your affinity right there. From there, you have a starting point which would have been far more difficult to ascertain before the dawn of digital age. The key is to use this to the best of your ability in a positive and proactive way. Ninth point is be happy to hand over the credit. If you want to influence other people and enhance relationships and connections, you need to realize that you cannot have it all your own way. You have to acknowledge the role of others in your success and be happy to share the credit or even hand it over completely. While it's perfectly normal to want to achieve credit and plaudits for something you worked hard for, it's important to acknowledge the hard work of others too. You cannot do everything yourself. It isn't all about you. 10th point is empathy matters. At the heart of everything, you need to remember that you are dealing with human beings. Human beings need to be treated with empathy. Problem is that most of us aren't born with the skill naturally. It needs to be developed. We are all talking about promoting ourselves, leverage, getting where we want, but we need to stop for a second and think about how another person in our situation might feel, what they might do. This can help you do things differently, perhaps to the benefit of others, and to avoid upsetting other people around you. If you treat people with empathy and respect, you will gain their trust far easier. For every situation you come in contact with, ask yourself how you would have dealt with it if you were in that person's shoes, how you would have felt. 11th point is share and challenge. Everyone wants to be a part of something bigger than what they see. For instance, people do work for charity because they want to help make a difference, and that's a fantastic human trait that we all have within us. Nobody wants to be ordinary. We all want to do something fantastic, no matter how big or small. If you want to connect and build up trust, it's important to share your experiences and story and let others follow you and be part of it. Our author gives the example of a very successful blogger with more than 1 million followers. She decided to have a laser eye surgery but wanted to share her experience and procedure via live streaming so others who might like to have it in the future could see what it's really like. By sharing this journey, she gained trust and then created an even bigger following. Competition can help to foster healthy relationships and friendships, provided personal gain is kept out of the equation. 12th point is create change without drama. As a leader, there are always going to be situations when you need to make a change and implement new ideas. There are some very useful methods you can use to ensure that everyone stays on board and motivated towards the end goal. Call out any mistakes in a quiet manner and mitigate any fault. Publicly berating someone for a mistake is not a way to influence them or to get them on board. By talking about this quietly and positively, you can create a positive change and maintain confidence. Use praise on a public scale, celebrate achievements and successes, and do it publicly. By doing this, you are raising up those around you and creating a sense of positivity. You should also let those around you know that you have a high opinion of them and they are far more likely to live up to it. If you set a low bar, they are probably going to feel devalued and think, what's the point in trying? The opposite brings far more positive results. Ask for opinions rather than giving orders. Ask people how they think the job should be done or approached rather than barking orders. From a personal point of view, wouldn't you rather have someone ask you the question than shout an order at you? Keep the common ground evident at all the times. Whatever you connected on in the first place, keep it at the center of everything you do. By losing the sight of common ground, you are likely to lose the influence of those around you. In the end, I want to conclude by saying be honest, be real, admit your mistakes, avoid confrontation, put yourself in the shoes of others, and raise people up rather than knocking them down. Become a person that people want to be around, and by doing that, you'll have far more influence than you could ever dream of. Also, to get value out of this video, try this. For one whole week, challenge yourself to avoid arguments of all types and instead focus on collaboration and seeing the other side of the discussion. Avoid posting negative or opinionated comments on social media and keep things positive. Challenge yourself to see situations through the eyes of others to help develop your empathy skills.